updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Well, viewers, we are getting straight into our conversation this morning, and we are starting off with Ms. Sabina Gomez, who's the Chief Labor Relations Officer from the Ministry of Labor. Now, this is in relation to a sexual harassment in the workplace seminar, which took place yesterday. But of course, this still remains a very crucial topic to be discussed within our space because of the implications that it has. And I mean, there's a whole lot that we let slide within our society, and a whole lot that we take for granted or we don't pay attention to. And of course, in the area of sexual harassment, especially in the workplace, we do need to. So, good morning and welcome to you, Ms. Sabina Gomez. How are you doing? Think your mic might be off,
Continue
Ms.
the
Sabina.
discussion. Pardon?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm not hearing you quite clearly as yet. So
You're
hopefully,
not hearing me?
all right, yeah, so hearing you a bit now.
You hear me now?
All right,
All right. Good morning.
good morning. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
All right, I'm not too sure if you could position your camera just a little bit more. Right, have your face, yes, good. First of all, I want you to give the public just a view about the sexual harassment in the workplace seminar, which took place yesterday at the Magdalena Grand Hotel.
All right. Well, I want to thank the Tobago House of Assembly, Department of Labor for really putting on a really great seminar to sensitize the public of Tobago in terms of what is in the policy document, the National Workplace Policy on Sexual Harassment, what the responsibilities of the employer, as well as what can we do as workers within the workplace. How do we see what is our role, what is our responsibility, how do we protect ourselves? So I think it was great. It was really doing a session in Tobago is always different. When you do it in Trinidad, you get different sort of questions. Tobagonians are really they have a unique um, a unique sense of in terms of what is on their portfolio. It might not be what is in the Trinidad perspective, but it's certainly an eye opener, and it's things that I never really thought about it, but it was great having the session. So we went over in terms of, because there is a draft bill, and it's with the AG, the Office of the Attorney General. So I think it was fortunate that I got the opportunity to at least let them know how important this is, and at least so that they can get prepared, employers can get prepared as to what is in the what is coming in the bill, the definition of what is sexual harassment, the role of the designated officer in terms of the person required to conduct investigation, because it would be mandatory that all employers, whether you're large or you're small, that they know what is in the policy and what would be the penalties for failing to adhere to the when it becomes law, failing to adhere to the law.
Now, you pointed earlier to there were some differences in terms of, the things that are brought forward that were brought forward by Tobagonians as opposed to Trinidadians at the consultations. Could you share with us what are some of those differences?
Well, now when we did the consultation back, and I mentioned that to them, the consultation, they brought up the whole church aspect in terms of when doing deliverance. They brought up the dress code, and the dress code was brought up in this session, in terms of ascribing the way how one dress in the workplace to if you're being sexually harassed in the workplace, in terms of your dress, the way you dress contributing to that. So in Trinidad, I remember I had that in the presentation, and a young man in one of the I think we did it in one of the ministries. I can't remember which one. But, he shut it down. And this is coming from a young man. He's saying, look, that should not be a reason why you should be sexually harassed in the workplace. And there were other issues that were brought up that was very pertinent in terms of the micro enterprise. How would the small business, where they're there's, because the role of the designated officer, you must hire a designated officer. But what happened with the micro enterprise? So I think those are some of the questions that they asked, and they wanted to get some more information on it. And those were, I think, those are very relevant issues, because sometimes, you think about when you're developing policy, you think about the small, the medium, but those micro enterprise where they may not have the wherewithal or the finance to hire a designated officer. So we did discuss alternatives and options for such persons. And one of the things that I think that we wanted to stress is that the protection, the zero tolerance to sexual harassment, because we did touch a lot on, our culture is touchy feely, and maybe it may be culturally, or I should say, acceptable. One of the things they discussed was the entrenched role, the sexualization of the workplace, where it has become the culture, that it's so endemic in the culture that they can't get, if having sexual relationships within the workplace, that is the culture. And how do you break that? I mean, it was really interesting, because that really was deep. Sometimes, you when you're developing policy or you're going to draft legislation, sometimes it's good to hear these perspectives coming forward, because maybe something you never thought about, and things that we can think about, and look to put things in place to address.
Think
Yeah.
that people, after this seminar that took place, do you think that people are understanding, getting a clearer picture of what classifies as sexual harassment, especially in the workplace?
Well, I think, and one of the things that we're going to do, we going to be launching a massive sensitization campaign with our communications. Want the legislation to come out, and persons were caught, with their pants down, so to speak. And in terms of employers knowing what is their responsibility, or when you have an orientation session, you have to orient your workers as to what is their responsibility. And the workers have to be aware. Each organization must have a policy document, and we want, one of the things we spoke about yesterday was, we have it in the policy about change management. And the question was asked, why change management? Because we have a culture, and in order to shift that culture, we have to start somewhere, and we have to start by involving, and it shouldn't be top down. One of the things I stressed yesterday is that when change has to come, it shouldn't be from the top just given down. It should be more participatory. So therefore, you involve the workers, have them in the discussion, what they feel is sexual harassment when the policy is being drafted, so that they will be a part of it. So therefore, new workers will coming into the organization will know that, hey, this is something that we can't tolerate, especially if you are in a position of trust. You have a level of responsibility, and when late in the night, you're texting your subordinates, WhatsApp messages, and then something goes wrong, and those messages, everything that you would have done, would come to the forefront. Sometimes careers are ruined because of this. So those were some of the things that we stressed yesterday, the responsibility. And also we touch on, is not only a male female thing. When you think sexual harassment, you think male sexually harassing women, but women do it in the workplace. right? And International Women's Day, we spoke about equity and leveling the playing fields. Well, there's equity in terms of how you would want to be treated and how you would treat a male person on the job. When we do it to men, it's funny, but if they do it to us, it's a crime. So I think there has to be some level of equity. And men, if the men don't like it, if you come on to the men or you sexually harass the men in the workplace and they don't like it, they are free to say, I do not like it. It's unwanted and it's unwelcome. And that is the equity that we speaking about. Because one thing I stressed to them yesterday, it's not male female, but we have male to male, female to female, all variations. We have had disputes coming forward or persons coming forward. So it's not a male female thing, and I wanted to
Gomez.
stress that because yes.
Yes, so Ms. Gomez, I mean, as we are running out of time, we've just got a couple minutes left, but I just want to know from you just some of the things that, the public should keep in mind when you think about what is sexual harassment. And I mean, the things that people generally don't think that will be forming part of this legislation when it goes forth to Parliament.
All right. So the definition of sexual harassment, but it goes a bit further. It goes to the conduct. When how a person commits an act of sexual harassment. Now, one of the things that I would be in the legislation is that if it don't have to be directed towards the individual. Like somebody can make comments or jokes about a person, not directly to the person, but you would be speaking in the presence of someone, knowing that the person is going to hear, right? All of that will be taken into once you see it's unwelcome, unwanted sexual images. We're talking about um, gestures, comments, requests for sexual favors in the workplace. We spoke about quid pro quo, right? You do something for me and I do something for you. And or you're working in a hostile working environment because you rebuff the advances, and all of a sudden the work becomes like a war zone. So all of these things, you're sending audio messages. So the use of emojis and all of that will be considered sexual harassment in the workplace. And one of the things that we want persons to come, you don't have to suffer in silence. So we have a helpline. It's 800 CAAD, and I want persons to, to make use of the helpline, to call in if you have queries, you need advice on what to do. Because the other thing that we stress is that persons, we are culture, we don't like to write. We always going to chat. I spoke to my supervisor. You're speaking to your supervisor for more than a year, and there's no record of any incident happening. So call us on the helpline if you need any assistance. And the helpline is also for employers, workers, migrant workers as well. It's a trilingual helpline. You can also email us as shcaad@gov.tt. So if you just need information, you need somebody to talk about a situation that you are undergoing, call the helpline. It's up and running, 800 CAAD. It's a toll-free line, and we want persons to feel free. It's confidential. We will advise you in terms of what to do if you're unsure as to what to do. So we are just accessible to really help the society move forward. I know it's going to be tough because it's not our culture. We like to touch and hug, and but sometimes these things go awry. So we are just in preparation mode for the legislation that is to come.
All right. Well, then thank you so much, Miss Sabina Gomez, for giving us a perspective. And we hope that perhaps in the future, as we're getting ready to roll out this legislation, bring it to Parliament, all that sort of thing, that we could treat with different aspects of the bill and perhaps improve the education and the awareness of our public, especially right here in Tobago, because of course this is
Yeah.
something that is incredibly important, and we don't quite understand the real impacts of it So,
Yes.
yes, we would definitely like to have you
Now,
back in the future.
something else I want to say. We'll be coming to Tobago in April because we have two national policies on HIV/AIDS and also on sexual harassment. So at the end of April, I think we'll be coming to Tobago to do a full upscale sensitization. You know, we'll be going all over Tobago to really sensitize the people of Tobago in terms of what is in the policy document, what is their requirement, and what is their responsibility. So we will be having full sessions again in Tobago because this is really important because the bill the contents of it is really serious. It has really serious implications, and I mean we're talking about jail sentences. You know, so both for employers and for perpetrators. So we just want to prepare the population at large and to tell them, you know, cease and desist. You know, it's not your home. You're not free to touch people when they come in your workplace. You know, you don't ask people for sex. Fair days work for fair days pay, not sex for pay, right? And persons should not be suffering in silence on the job because you know it's taken place, but you don't want to do an investigation because you know all of us, we are all friends here. I know him for how long, and he will never do that. He's a good person. You know, we are all good people. You know, so those are some of the things that we want to address in the society, and it's really zero tolerance for sexual harassment in the workplace.
All right. Thank you again, Miss Gomez. And viewers, well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get to some conversations with Miss Penny Gomez in regards to devices and grants given out to single mothers right here in Tobago.
Thank you so much for having me.